Pachinko Tanuki by Matthew Wardell. Click, whiz, click, whiz. The wrist flicks, the hand turns. The crank gives way again and again. In a sense, the motion is erotic with its rhythmic, pleasurable effect on Kazutoshi, but there are moments when a wave of restlessness crests, and he must fight the urge to spasm himself free from his slumped position on the stool. Ping, 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 and so on. 11mm steel spheres shoot up, around, and back down with every motion of Kazutoshi's hand. He focuses on the center of the pachinko machine, where he can watch the cascade of balls ping down in erratic yet almost immediately predictable patterns. Predictable to the trained eye. Any small victory, a score multiplier, a ball grant, gives a thrill so small that the smile is wiped from Kazutoshi's face before he fully registers it. The cascade is all his failures, the pain to which he has become numb. Should a victory escape from it? Good. Pachinko is a cruel, noisy bitch, but even so, it was probably better than drinking. While his right hand fondled the crank, Kazutoshi's left hand waved about a cigarette soon to be adopted into the pile of ashes in the tray so graciously provided by the parlor. The remnants of the cigarette lingered in the smell that clung to Kazutoshi's knuckles and shirts, always. Click, whiz. Life was so much easier when it was given a simple beat. Kazutoshi could almost move about unconsciously, smoothly, in a happy trance. Ping ping ping. Oh. Hey now. Where was the ping ping ping? Had he become so relaxed, so zen-like in his focus that he blocked out the physical plane of existence and achieved a sense of nirvana through which... no balls. The collective steel waterfall of the parlor returned to his ears. How long had he been in that meditative state? And how much yen had it cost? He looked about. 4 back-to-back rows of similar machines, familiar players. Smoke, lights. But a sound cut through the familiar. Laughter. The obnoxious laughter of some lucky bastard, and likely a bronchitis-stricken lucky bastard by the sound. Kazutoshi rose, knees cracking, from the stool, and sidled through the corridor of bent spines to the end of the row. "Woo, baby!" The laughter guided him. The sound took him to a dusty, unattended corner of the parlor, past a group of blanketed machines at the end of their lives. There, at the very last of the forgotten row, was a tanuki standing on the stool. It wasn't a real tanuki, like a wild raccoon dog you'd find picking about on burnable trash day. This was the tanuki of ancient folklore. Little vest and straw hat, furry belly like a barrel full of sake, wooden sandals. Beneath the beady eyes it had trained on the pachinko machine, it was chomping on a comically huge cigar as big as its own forearm. Of course, it was evidently a he, considering he was seated atop a pair of enormous testicles. "Hallelujah, Hare Krishna!" The tanuki praised the machine in a gravelly, hard-boiled voice. "And all the rest." Suddenly, just as it had for Kazutoshi, the ping-ping-ping stopped. The tanuki had run dry. "What are you so happy about?" Kazutoshi asked. "You lost, didn't you?" The tanuki swiveled on his stool. "You're one of those destination types, ain't you? Why bother playing a game if it ain't fun?" "I guess you're right." "Course I am. You played this one before?" Kazutoshi hadn't. "It doesn't look like much, but this baby is packing a secret jackpot. You have to be in the know." The tanuki tapped his head with a stubby finger. Kazutoshi didn't say anything, but he eyed the machine. It seemed enough like the others. The tanuki said, "You want to be in the know, I assume, Mr. Kazutoshi." "Kazukun, I'll let you in. Every night between the dusky hour of 11 to midnight, it's possible to win the jackpot, but only on this machine, and only at that time. Special unadvertised bonus." "What can I win?" The tanuki smiled. His teeth were dirty. "A golden ball." "Real gold?" "Pipe down, Kazukun. It ain't real gold, useless in of itself, but it can be traded for whatever you want." "How do you know this?" "I told you, I'm in the know. Been around the block. Tell me, do you believe in luck? Because you're the luckiest SOB I've ever known." The tanuki indicated the Casio watch wrapped tightly around his wrist. 11:12 p.m. Kazutoshi upturned his pockets. Empty.
Tisk tisk, Kazukun. Well, Mr. Boko, that's me. My friends call me Boko. I won't let you miss your chance. I see your potential.
The Tanuki produced a single pachinko ball from a pocket in his vest. Really, thank you, Boko.
Mr. Boko.
The Tanuki dumped the ball in the tray and hopped off the stool. He stood at about eye level with the seat.
There's only one condition.
Boko's beady eyes flashed.
If you win that golden ball, we're gonna share that reward.
Kazutoshi thought his odds were rotten anyways, as always. Deal. Boko grinned. He patted the seat. Kazutoshi sat. Boko moved to hover over the crank, as if coaxing it. The machine was relatively simple in decoration. Unflashy, polished wood finish. It was devoid of the cutesy mascots, the busty maids, the schoolgirls, and the cheerleaders who prompted in ringing voices from the other machines.
Insert cash! Insert cash!
This machine was somehow monolithic, yet warm, like an ancient shrine devoted to the procuring of money. And it reminded Kazutoshi of the wood-stocked shotgun that hung on the wall of his old beloved izakaya, the bar he once regulared. The barkeep knew the gun wasn't allowed to hang in the open establishment there, so he often kept it hidden under a wool blanket. The gun's shape was this clearly defined, unmoving presence that had gone all but unspoken in the years Kazutoshi had drank away there. He wondered if that gun was still hanging up on that wall, still under that blanket.
Now, what you want to do is...
Plick! Kazutoshi knew what to do.
Son of a bitch!
The steel ball shot up, fast as the eye could follow, around the bend and into its fall. The chrome was suddenly lost, the surface of the ball shifting in the reflection of a dozen muddy colors, several of which must have belonged to Kazutoshi. Ping, ping, ping. Nothing. The ball fell out of sight unceremoniously. Evidently, Kazutoshi only knew how to lose to chance.
Well, you wasted my ball, punk. If you had waited, you would have heard me say you have to hit the little dinghy in the middle. Bonus!
The machine belched out the word through a fuzzy sound chip.
Cash in!
From the return slot, a golden ball fell into the tray. Boko almost swallowed his cigar.
Well, I never. The machine chose you, champ. You're worthy.
This is it? Kazutoshi picked up the ball. The gold was faded, dirtied. Between his two fingers, Kazutoshi could see his face, stretched and disappointed. Big fat nose, tall glasses with little round eyes beneath. He looked like an inversion of the grinning Tanuki. Where do we take the ball? Through a maze of nearby alleyways, tucked in some nook hidden in his commute, Kazutoshi followed behind Boko, who was surprisingly light-footed for his fatness. Keep up, the Tanuki said just once, without looking back. Once the night had shifted well past the tipping point of midnight, they stopped at an unremarkable door in the side of a building with no discernible features. It was connected into the rest of the buildings around it, plugged into the station's modest skyline. The door was brown and had a mail slot about eye level with the Tanuki, crotch level with Kazutoshi. Boko hissed into the slot. A pair of eyes appeared.
What?
They said, annoyed. Wordlessly, Boko passed the golden ball by the eyes, which trailed hungrily. The eyes disappeared and the door unlocked. The man who opened the door, likely the owner of the eyes as well, stood at least a whopping 7 feet. He was bald, battered, and ugly, but at least he was well dressed. Kazutoshi looked between this doorman's immense stature and the little mail slot.
Mr. Boko,
the doorman rumbled happily.
Oh, so it's Mr. now,
the Tanuki snorted.
And this is Mr.
Lucky Fingers, Boko cut in.
Nice to see you again, Mr. Lucky Fingers.
The doorman stood aside. The room behind him was lavish, and not just for Kazutoshi's style. Deep crimson velvet seemed to cover everything, all of it lined with gold. Traditional paintings, probably biblical, decorated the walls while ornate chandeliers, heavy with gems, drooped from the ceiling. All of this, of course, was to frame the harem of women lounging around in a pit of cushions. More women than Kazutoshi could count on his fingers and toes, even with Boko's help. Enough women to satisfy any man's unique taste. What is this place? Kazutoshi whispered to Boko.
A place for weary travelers to rest their heads.
The Tanuki slipped the ball to the doorman, who immediately ordered for a drink to be brought.
The first of many.
Boko grinned before draining a glass of amber beer that looked more golden than the ball had. It was some time since Kazutoshi let himself have a drink, but hell, tonight was a celebration of something. Turns out the drink was the first of many. Man and Tanuki entered the pit and were literally surrounded by women bearing glass after glass. After a few drinks, Kazutoshi couldn't differentiate between the stacks of velvet cushions and the increasingly bare flesh he rested on. The only clear thing which registered through his head was Boko's nasty laughing, a howling really, somewhere within the tossing sea of giggles and moans. Touching turned to petting, turned to kissing, turned to... Kazutoshi, meek with women, had to be dragged before each base and practically pushed through before he would act. He'd never been one to move fast physically with women. It wasn't like drinking, where you could just jump right in even after a long time away. Surrounded as he was, Kazutoshi felt hesitation, as if something he would brush or stroke would be a straw too heavy, and the harem would become a mob to turn on him and leave him in an outrage. Everything he enjoyed seemed to betray him in some way. He felt distant-minded, numb all over, but evidently he was doing something right for now. A to B, cause and effect. The women at his fingertips didn't feel real, but neither did he. Whether it was because of their doll-like perfection, or some fail-safe in his own mind, he resisted against the tides of pleasure for a long time, refusing to dive in. Maybe it was the rhythm that was off. He could no longer hear the Tanuki, but he thought of a pachinko machine. His eyes were closed, but he could touch it. One hand cranked, one hand fiddled. It elicited a reaction, a sensation, within and without himself. There was a new predictability in the erraticism, in his own erraticism. Plick! Love-making became a game he could win, if chance allowed him. Things went on. In the morning, Kazutoshi woke up in the pit of cushions, alone, save for the doorman standing over him, nudging him with his black suede shoe.
I said, pay up and get the hell out, Lucky Fingers,
the doorman repeated. Where are the women? Kazutoshi slurred. His head ached. Where's my friend?
Short, tubby guy? He left. Said you'd pick up the tab.
What? I don't have... The doorman showed him the bill. Goodness gracious, and damn it all. I don't have that kind of money. What about the golden ball? I didn't know.
Unlucky for you, Lucky Fingers. We know where you live.
With nowhere to go, Kazutoshi washed up at the old izakaya. He was greeted warmly but quite unceremoniously by the barkeep, who showed not even the smug satisfaction in his correct assumption that Kazutoshi could not, after all, keep off the sauce. One thing the barkeep wouldn't anticipate was Kazutoshi having 0 yen to pay for his drinks with. As Kazutoshi downed another, he confirmed the shotgun was still hanging, covered, on the wall. That thing still work? He asked. The barkeep gazed at the gun's shape. Officially, no. Officially, there's nothing under that blanket. Kazutoshi nodded. Why? The barkeep squinted. You got somebody coming after you? Did he? Kazutoshi wasn't even sure. He was just thinking that, if he saw that Tanuki again, how good it would feel to blast it in its stupid, grinning face. Plick.